I really felt like I'd never belonged, and with that I had this huge craving of acceptance, and I think that's kind of what propelled me into becoming a blogger in the first place.
Hi guys, welcome to VENN's first ever beauty, wellness and lifestyle podcast show. Here we have our first guest, Mariel Cornel from Polydeux. Hi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Mariel is a digital content creator and a creative director. She creates amazing content from beauty, fitness, lifestyle, and gives also great tips and advice from her personal experiences on her blog. So yeah, we would love to learn more about you, Mariel. So here it goes. Can you start by introducing yourself?
Sure. So I'm Mariel Polydeux. I founded it in 2012. And Polydeux is essentially a blog and platform where my purpose is to inspire others by living their best lives. I focus on fashion and lifestyle. I'm a storyteller, digital creator, content creator, event planner, all of the above. And from there, I use this opportunity to work with different brands of my choosing, and I get to create and storytell for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
So I read in your blog somewhere that you are working at a 9-to-5 job while doing blogging on the side. So how do you kind of manage your time, and how is that going for you currently?
Yeah, so with my 9-to-5, finding balance is probably the hardest part about it, because a lot of that has to come with practice.
Right.
And so having to compromise, whether it's leaving work a little bit earlier, coming in a little late, or working on my lunch even, has kind of been a challenge because I'm working non-stop.
Right.
And so I go into my 9-to-5 just to go to my 5-to-9 because there's always events, or the weekends I have to do some content creation or activations, and just the work never ends. But it's not to say that's a bad thing.
Right. You're hustling.
Absolutely. I'm completely blessed because as long as I'm busy, it means that something's getting done.
What does it mean to you when you have to compromise your dreams and passion, or like whatever projects that you want to work on personally while working under somebody?
I'd definitely say, in all honesty, it's very frustrating. It's frustrating because there's a lot of internal and external conflict.
Right.
And you want to appease your boss and you want to put in that work and show that you're there, but there's always going to be a part of you that's going to want to put more into your blog, and sometimes one of the two has to go on the back burner, fortunately, but that's just how we are as humans.
Right.
You want to invest in the things that make you happy, but you also have to invest in the things that you need, which are both your dreams, passion, and your income. And so it's always going to be a battle no matter what, but you're always going to find something at the end of the day that will make it all worth it. So whether that's influencing someone, impacting their lives, or doing really well at your job and getting a raise, there's going to be something at the end of the tunnel that will make you and all your frustrations just kind of say it's okay.
Yeah, that was a great advice. So a lot of people are very curious how bloggers are able to self-fund. So can you tell us your experience on how you were kind of working at that?
Yeah, when I first started, I was working at 2 or 3 different locations at Urban Outfitters, and I would save all that money and immediately invest it back into my blog. I would sell my clothes, I would do DIY. This was at the time thrifting was really big, so it didn't matter if you were kind of wearing cut-up clothes because it looked really edgy, but at the same time, nowadays it's a little bit harder to do that because people are more into luxury wear and luxury items. So a lot of it has to do with saving, being resourceful. Maybe you cut back on eating out and then utilizing that to pay for photographers. Once you've built yourself a little bit more, you're able to land more campaigns who are willing to pay out. You can use that to invest back again into your work. So a lot of it just has to do with recycling your streams of revenue.
Okay, and like budgeting and making sure you know where your money is kind of going at.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start their first time full-time blogging career?
Yeah, I would say really focus on building your foundation, because if you have a rocky foundation, then you're never going to be able to build upwards. It's always going to fall down. So as long as you have a strong foundation, that means having a stable income, stable theme, your brand is consistent, your followers and engagement is consistent, everything just has to be flowing, and then you can start floating upwards.
What were some cultural struggles growing up in an environment without an Asian community?
Oh man, so many. I really felt like I'd never belonged, and with that I had this huge craving of acceptance, and I think that's kind of what propelled me into becoming a blogger in the first place, is that it was an extension of my longing to belong somewhere, right? And in that, I always felt that it was very clear that I was different from everyone else. Because I went to elementary school that was predominantly white, I would bring lunches that were rice-based, and they had adobo and it was poo, and kids didn't know what it was, they thought it smelled, and they would criticize me on what I was eating, what I was wearing. I just never looked like everyone else. And it didn't help that, I was brown. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
my interest in anime and K-pop, I really had to keep that to myself, because kids would see me draw and they would be like, ew, why does she look like that? Why are you drawing that? And they thought it was super inappropriate. But they didn't know that that was part of something, part of the culture, part of the way things work.
Right.
And so being heavily criticized and made fun of, I never felt like I could eat lunch with my friends anymore. I had to eat alone. And I clearly remember there was a cultural day that we were celebrating in 5th grade. And everyone had to bring a food or a snack that was representative of their culture. And I remember having a Greek salad from someone. Someone brought, I don't know, mac and cheese, very generic things.
Right.
But I brought this thing called pulveron, which is kind of like a cookie.
Yeah.
But when you eat it, it turns into kind of a chalky texture.
Oh.
So it's think of it as if you just had a mouthful of flour.
Oh.
Or the cinnamon challenge, so it
Yeah.
just kind of turns very dry and sucks up all your saliva.
Yeah.
And so you don't really know what to do with it, especially if you've never had it. It's good. It sounds really bad. It's good. But to kids who completely never had any sense of what this was or anything close to it.
It must be very new to them.
I was really excited to share them because I knew it was going to be new, but I didn't expect them to react in the way that they did. So when they ate it, everyone's coughing and they're like, what is this? This is nasty. I felt so hurt and so embarrassed. And it really made me feel like I didn't want to share any of my culture anymore.
Yeah.
And for that, I didn't want to be Asian anymore. And having my parents come to parent-teacher meetings, they would have these thick accents and they wouldn't be understood. And I felt like there was definitely a barrier, language barrier. And I just didn't want to be Asian. But as time went on, I really came to understand that that was kind of very integral to the way I am now. And so I kind of appreciate that I was made fun of in a way, just because it helped me gain this unique perspective that I can use now.
So how and when were you able to accept and embrace your culture, and what were some external and internal influences that helped you overcome it too?
That's a loaded question. So I was going to school in Simi Valley up until middle school. In middle school, that was when I started to meet other Filipinos. And once I got to high school, I actually went to school outside of Simi into the valley, which was predominantly Mexican and Asian. And so that was when I truly felt I was part of something. I started joining Key Club. I started joining a dance crew actually called Emanon in Oxnard.
Oh, cool.
And so Oxnard is also predominantly Hispanic and Asian, and being in large groups of people in the same color really made me feel like I was part of something.
Yeah.
Because growing up in a elementary school with just white kids, I so badly wanted to be accepted that I would do anything to make sure that I felt like I was part of them. But there was always that lingering feeling that that was never going to happen.
I see.
And so by the time that I got to middle school and part of the dance team, and I started doing Taekwondo, which is predominantly Asian as well,
Right.
that everyone kind of started to bleed the lines of what Asian American meant. So people would start speaking in their native languages, and they would be very prideful, and they would sing songs that were my parents would play and things like that. So there were little like cognitive dissonance of our culture, and we found a lot of ties and relations in that.
Yeah.
So finally finding a place that I belonged in changed everything.